Right, Scott. Well, we'll move on from a film focusing on someone forced to become a hitman by necessity to someone who's a hitman by profession, sort of.
Yes, in Sicario, in which Scott regrets his choice of film to watch the week before heading back to the northeast of Mexico. Yes. In Sicario, from another frequent Deakins collaborator, Denis Villeneuve, we're introduced to Emily Blunt's young FBI agent Kate Mercer and her younger partner, Daniel Kaluuya's Reggie Wayne, as they undertake a raid on a home that's suspected of holding suspects in a kidnapping case. This soon takes a turn both disgusting and fatal as they uncover that it's being used as a dumping ground for victims of drug traffickers, their bodies left in cavity walls to rot, and booby-trapped, which sees a member of their squad killed. While the situation is given the gravity it deserves, Mercer and Wayne reflect that similar sorts of cases are happening with a depressing increase in frequency, and their efforts do not seem to be making much of an impact. So, when given the opportunity to join the task force charged with curtailing the activities of the Mexican drug cartels on USA soil, she accepts. It's no surprise that this unnamed cloak and dagger outfit is being headed up by an agency man, in this case Josh Brolin's Matt Graver. Matt seems amiable enough, although being that he is employed by the CIA, you're always left wondering exactly how he will stab people in the back, rather than if he will stab people in the back. Graver's team appears to be composed mainly of Special Forces operatives, which should give some indication of how things are expected to go, supplemented as required by FBI or US Marshals to give the barest sheen of legal legitimacy to their nod and a wink sanctioned activities. There's also room for the odd special advisor, such as Benicio del Toro's mysterious Alejandro, who I'm sure is on the up and up. Nothing exudes trustworthiness more than not revealing your surname. And so they go, trying to loosen the cartel's stranglehold in the Mexican border towns and generally shake things up a bit, with Kate refusing the backseat role she'd been given and getting rather more involved than was perhaps intended. This has the adjunct effect of the cartels painting a target on her back, which of course affects Kate's private life and her physical and mental security. Saying much more about the plot specifics won't add very much to the review, but in general it's more concerned with the friction between doing what's effective and what's legal, and almost all of the interpersonal conflict comes from these differences in ideology and how these, or if these, can come into balance. All of which sounds much drier than I intend to talk about it, especially given that Sicario pulls off so many moments of extreme tension. Much like Villeneuve's previous Prisoners, it mines some very dark subject matter to create some very believable human reactions, and is as well characterised as anything you could hope to see in multiplex. And, as it turns out, having some understanding of the characters helps the tension when they're thrown into danger. Who'd have thunk it? Being on the front line of the situation does provide ample opportunity for danger, and there's two outstanding set-piece examples of ratcheting up tension that I'm reluctant to even vaguely detail in case that proves the mildest of spoilers, but two very real nail-biting sections in this. Deakins captures the dusty western feel that the script occasionally evokes as the rule of law shakes a little bit and the way of the gun threatens to replace it. Shots of the high desert are suitably bleak, but it's probably the shots captured in the border tunnels that's the high point here, and in retrospect, useful prototyping for 1917's trenches. Special mention must also be made of the pounding, oppressive score from Johan Johansson, which provides effective backup to the threats on screen. So, technically and dramatically, Sicario puts very few feet wrong and comes very highly recommended, although you're better off pretending that the needless sequel does not exist. Also, subtitlers, learn how to spell Monterey.
First of all, with your comments about Alejandro, I'm now worried about what your theory is about Madonna.
The worst.
He's worked, Roger Deakins, has worked with Denis Villeneuve 3 times, and I specifically selected this one, although I had to get the approval from yourself, of course. Specifically selected this one because of the slightly different challenges that this film had from a lot of the other ones that we could have picked. A lot of handheld camera work, and it's maybe testament to how effective that tunnel sequence is that I actually remembered that as being considerably larger part of the running time than it actually is.
It's actually fairly brief, yeah.
And so, the confines of going through the tight spaces, whereas the landscape shots kind of a given.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of that close-up action shot was more interesting to revisit. I'm pleased to find this. It looks great. It sounds great. It's such a tense film.
Yeah.
I actually really, really do like the score. It's quite easy for a score to be prescriptive rather than supportive of the tone the film's going for. This one absolutely manages it the right way.
Yeah.
It's such a tense film. I don't have a lot more to say than what you said, Scott. I will echo sentiments about the unnecessary sequel that also kind of missed the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sequel's basically more turned into it's more of just an action thriller rather than like, this film has something to say.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah, though, you couldn't really go wrong with any of Roger Deakins' collaborations with Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Prisoners goes on about 30 minutes too long, but still wonderfully tense, and the rain-soaked atmosphere of Prisoners actually looks really nice in that it looks really gloomy and miserable.
Yes.
Blade Runner 2049, definitely there's a lot of CGI stuff in there, but certainly that's a pretty film.
Yeah.